Hello viewers, before we continue the part 1 of this amazing story, we would love for you to be part of our family. Subscribe today and turn on the bell notification. Now enjoy. Anika's heart pounded with excitement as she stepped out of the small, dusty bus. Inugu's evening air was warm, filled with the distant sounds of life moving fast. She adjusted her small bag on her shoulder, gripping the little note her mother had given her, directions to her aunt's house. Her mother's last words before she left home played in her mind. Ganika, my sister is rich now. You will live in a big house, eat good food, and go to school like her children. This is a blessing. 13-year-old Anika believed her mother. She believed in a better life waiting for her at Auntie Ifunanya's house. She knocked on the gate, and a security man peeped through the small opening. Who you dey find? I'm here to see my aunt, Madam Ifunanya. My name is Anika. The man studied her from head to toe, noticing her faded dress and dusty slippers. Without a word, he opened the gate, leading her into a massive compound with shining cars parked neatly in a row. Anika's mouth fell open. She had never seen such a house before. Before she could take it all in, the front door swung open, and there stood Auntie Ifunanya, dressed in a flowing gown, her gold jewelry glinting under the porch light. But instead of the warm welcome Anika expected, her aunt's face twisted in displeasure. You're just arriving now? I sent your mother transport money last week. What took you so long? I came as soon as I could, Anika stammered. Ifunanya scoffed. Come inside. And wipe your feet, don't dirty my floor. Inside, the house was even more beautiful, white tiles, shining chandeliers, and a scent of expensive perfume in the air. Anika's cousins sat on a long couch, pressing their phones, barely sparing her a glance. A man walked in then, tall, dark, and well-dressed. Her uncle. Oh, the village girl has finally arrived, he said, smirking. His eyes scanned her the same way someone would look at an old shoe. I hope she won't be a liability. She will be useful, Ifunanya said sharply. Very useful. That night, Anika lay on a small mattress on the floor of a tiny room meant for storage. No bed, no blanket. The cold floor bit into her skin as she curled up, confused. Her mother had said she would live like family. But from the way her aunt spoke, from the way her cousins ignored her, she wasn't sure anymore. Tomorrow would tell. But deep down, she already knew. Let me know if this first part is gripping enough or if you want any tweaks before we continue with part 2. Anika woke up to a sharp knock on the door. Wake up. Do you think this is your mother's house where you sleep all day? Ifunanya's voice was sharp and impatient. Go to the kitchen and wash the plates before my children wake up. Rubbing sleep from her eyes, Anika hurriedly stood up, her back aching from the hard floor. She moved quickly, remembering the disappointment in her aunt's eyes the night before. As she stepped into the kitchen, she gasped. The sink was piled high with dirty plates, greasy pots, and leftover food. Her hands trembled. Back home, she helped her mother cook and clean, but this was different. She picked up the first plate and started scrubbing. The smell of dried soup and oil clung to her nose, but she kept going. She wanted to prove to her aunt that she was useful, that she deserved to be here. Hours passed before she finished. Just as she was about to sit down, a loud voice called out. Anika, sweep the living room and arrange the chairs. My guests are coming soon, and I don't want to see any dust. Ifunanya shouted from upstairs. Anika sighed but picked up the broom. She swept, wiped, and arranged until the whole house was spotless. She barely had time to rest before her cousin, Chizaram, walked in, chewing gum lazily. Anika, go and iron my uniform. I don't want any lines on it. Anika hesitated. But. Chizaram's eyes darkened. Did you just say but? Are you stupid? If you annoy my mom, she will throw you out. Fear gripped Anika. She nodded quickly and went to do as she was told. By evening, her legs felt like they didn't belong to her anymore. She had done laundry, washed the bathrooms, and even helped cook. Yet, nobody asked if she had eaten. She finally sneaked into the kitchen and took a small piece of bread left on the table. Just as she was about to take a bite, a voice thundered behind her. "Thief! You came to steal food now, ABI?" Ifunanya's husband, Namdi, stood in the doorway, his face twisted with anger. "No, sir, I." "Shut up. So after all the food you ate in the village, you came here to eat us dry? Drop that bread now." Tears welled in Anika's eyes as she slowly placed the bread back on the plate. Her stomach growled in protest, but she swallowed her hunger along with her tears. As she walked back to her tiny room, she wondered, is this really my new life? Days turned into weeks, and Anika's life became a never-ending cycle of chores and insults. Morning till night, she scrubbed, washed, cooked, and served. Yet, no matter how hard she worked, it was never enough. One afternoon, as she was mopping the floor, her cousin Chizaram walked in and kicked over the bucket of water. "Oops," she said with a smirk. "Clean that up." Anika clenched her fists but said nothing. She picked up the rag and started again. She had learned that talking back only made things worse. Later that evening, Ifunanya's husband, Namdi, returned home with some friends. The house had to be spotless, and the food had to be perfect. "Anika," Ifunanya snapped. "Set the table quickly. And make sure you don't embarrass me." Anika moved swiftly, arranging plates and serving dishes. As she poured juice into a glass, her hands trembled from exhaustion, and the cup slipped, crashing to the floor. Silence filled the room. "You stupid girl," Ifunanya screamed, grabbing her by the ear. "Do you know how much that glass costs?" Anika's eyes burned with tears as she mumbled, "I'm sorry, Ma." Ifunanya shoved her backward. "Sorry for yourself. No dinner for you tonight. Now clean this mess before my guests arrive." As Anika knelt, picking up the broken pieces, she heard laughter from the living room. Namdi's guests were enjoying themselves, eating the food she had cooked, sitting in the home she cleaned, while she, tired and hungry, picked up shards of glass from the floor. That night, as she lay on the cold, hard floor of her tiny room, her stomach empty and her body aching, she wondered if her mother had any idea what was happening to her. Maybe she should write to her. But would it change anything? The morning sun streamed through the window, but Anika didn't feel its warmth. She forced herself up despite the pain in her arms and legs. Today would be like every other day, endless work and insults. She was halfway through scrubbing the bathroom when Ifunanya stormed in. "Anika, what is this nonsense?" she barked, pointing at a tiny speck of dirt near the sink. I was just about to clean it, Ma," Anika stammered. A hot slap landed on her cheek. "Liar. You're lazy and ungrateful. If you don't finish this in 10 minutes, you won't eat today." Tears burned her eyes, but she quickly turned back to scrubbing. She had learned not to cry in front of them, it only made things worse. Later that evening, Namdi had visitors again, and as usual, Anika was forced to serve them. She carried a tray of drinks into the sitting room, keeping her head down. "Ah, Namdi, this your house help looks too small for all this work." "Oh," one of the guests said, watching Anika struggle to balance the tray. Namdi chuckled. "She's fine. She needs to learn how to be useful in life." "What about school?" the guest asked. "Shouldn't she be in school at her age?" Ifunanya rolled her eyes. "School? Who will pay for that? She came here to help, not to waste money on school." The guest looked at Anika, then back at Namdi. "This is not right. Every child deserves an education. You people are treating her like a slave." Anika's heart pounded. No one had ever defended her before. She stole a glance at the man. He looked kind, different from the others who ignored her suffering. Ifunanya scoffed. "This is a family matter. Let's talk about something else." But the man wasn't done. "Namdi, I insist. I will personally sponsor this girl's education. You cannot refuse." The room fell silent. Anika's hands shook. Was this real? Would she finally get a chance to go to school? Ifyunanya's face darkened, but she forced a smile. Ah, Olga Emika, no problem. Since you insist. She turned to Anika with a cold glare. You better not waste this opportunity. Anika could barely breathe. For the first time in a long time, hope flickered in her heart. Anika sat in the corner of the room, her heart still racing. Was this really happening? Someone was finally standing up for her. She could see the anger in Ifyunanya's eyes, but she didn't care. For the first time, there was a light at the end of this dark tunnel. The next morning, Emika arrived early. Anika, get ready. We're going to enroll you in school today, he said firmly. Ifyunanya forced a smile. Ah, Olga Emika, no need to rush. She has many chores to do. Maybe next month. No, Emika cut in. I insist. A child's education is not something to delay. Let's go, Anika. Anika quickly wiped her hands on her wrapper and followed him. Her heart pounded with every step. She was going to school. They arrived at a modest but decent school in the heart of Enugu. The headmistress, a strict-looking woman with kind eyes, welcomed them. So, you want to start school? She asked Anika. Yes, Ma, Anika replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you know how to read and write? Anika hesitated. A little, Ma. I used to go to school before I came to stay with my aunt. The headmistress nodded. We will place you in the right class. Work hard and don't disappoint us. Anika nodded eagerly. I won't, Ma. Thank you. Emika paid the fees and bought her school supplies. For the first time in years, she held brand new books in her hands. She couldn't stop staring at them. As they left the school, Emika turned to her. Anika, this is your chance to change your future. Make good use of it. Tears welled up in her eyes. I will, sir. Thank you. When they returned home, Ifyunanya barely spoke to her. But Anika didn't care. She had something bigger to focus on now. The next morning, she wore her new school uniform. It felt strange but wonderful. As she stepped out of the house, Chizaram sneered. Look at you. Do you think going to school will change anything? You'll always be our house girl. Anika didn't reply. She just walked past her and out the door. For the first time in years, she felt free. Anika stepped into the school compound, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. She had dreamed of this moment for so long, but now that it was happening, she felt out of place. Would the other students laugh at her? Would they know she had been a house help? She gripped her books tightly as she walked into the classroom. The teacher, a middle-aged woman with a gentle smile, gestured for her to come forward. Class, we have a new student joining us today. Her name is Anika. Please make her feel welcome. A few students whispered among themselves, but one girl, Adiz, smiled at her. Come, you can sit next to me. Relieved, Anika took the seat beside Adiz. The lessons began, and though she struggled at first, she listened carefully, determined to catch up. She would not waste this chance. Days turned into weeks, and Anika poured her heart into her studies. She woke up earlier than everyone else to complete her chores before school. No matter how tired she was, she refused to give up. Her teachers noticed her determination, and soon, she was catching up with her classmates. One afternoon, as she was solving a math problem on the board, the teacher clapped. Well done, Anika. That's correct. Keep it up. For the first time in a long time, she felt proud of herself. But back home, Ifyunanya and Chizaram were not pleased. So now you think you're better than us because you go to school? Chizaram sneered one evening as Anika sat in the corner revising her notes. Anika kept quiet. She knew better than to argue. You better not fail, Ifyunanya added. After all the trouble Olga Emika went through for you, don't disgrace us. Anika nodded, but deep inside, she made a silent promise. She would not fail. She would make something of herself no matter what it took. Anika's routine became a cycle of hard work, endurance, and silent victories. She would wake up before dawn, complete her chores, and rush to school, always making sure not to give Ifunanya or Chizaram any reason to complain. But no matter how much she tried, they still found something to criticize. One evening, as she was washing the dishes, Chizaram walked into the kitchen with a smirk. "You think going to school will change anything? You're still a servant in this house." Ganika ignored her and continued scrubbing the plates. She had learned that responding only gave Chizaram more power. "Look at you, acting like you're special. Let's see how long you last before you drop out." Ganika swallowed hard, refusing to let the words sink in. Deep down, she knew the truth: education was her only way out. She would never quit. The next morning at school, her teacher announced a big test. "This exam will determine your ranking in class," the teacher said. "Study well." Ganika felt a mix of fear and excitement. She had been studying every night, but was it enough? That evening, she sat outside under the dim security light, reading her notes. Her eyes were heavy, her hands ached, but she pushed through. Weeks passed, and the results were finally out. The teacher stood in front of the class. "I want to congratulate our top 3 students. In third place, we have Chijioke. In second place, Adiz. And in first place..." The teacher paused, scanning the paper. "Ganika." Gasps filled the classroom. Anika's eyes widened. Had she heard correctly? The teacher smiled. "Well done, Ganika. You've made great progress." For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. She had worked for this moment. She had earned it. That night, as she cleared the dinner table, Ifunanya's voice cut through the silence. "So, you think you're smart now? That school is getting to your head, eh? Let me warn you, Ganika, don't forget your place in this house." Ganika simply nodded, but deep inside, she made a promise to herself she would rise above all of this. No matter what it took. Anika's victory in class only made life harder at home. Ifunanya and Chizaram were relentless, looking for any excuse to frustrate her. They made her do extra chores, barely let her sleep, and even tried to hide her schoolbooks. But Ganika refused to break. One evening, as she ironed their school uniforms, Chizaram snatched Anika's notebook from the table and flipped through it carelessly. "So, you think you're a genius now? What are you even writing in this book?" she mocked. Ganika remained silent, her hands gripping the iron tightly. She had learned to pick her battles. Chizaram scoffed and tossed the book onto the floor. "Clean that up, housegirl." Ganika bent down, picked up her notebook, and dusted it off. She would not let their words stop her. At school, her teacher, Mrs. Okafor, noticed how tired Ganika looked. "Ganika, is everything okay? You seem distracted." Ganika hesitated before nodding. "I'm fine, Ma." Mrs. Okafor didn't believe her, but she didn't push. Instead, she handed Ganika a small packet of biscuits. "Eat something. You're doing well, but you need strength too." Anika's eyes welled up. It had been a long time since anyone showed her kindness. "Thank you, Ma." That evening, she studied harder than ever. The upcoming term exams were crucial, and she refused to let anything hold her back. She wrote notes in the dim glow of the security light, her mind sharp despite her exhaustion. Weeks later, the exam results were announced. Ganika had not only topped her class again, she had the highest score in the entire school. Her teacher beamed with pride. "Ganika, the principal wants to see you." Anika's heart pounded as she entered the office. The principal, an elderly man with a warm smile, gestured for her to sit. "Young lady, you have a gift. Your hard work is inspiring. We have decided to give you a full scholarship. Your school fees, books, and uniform will all be taken care of." Ganika gasped. "Sir, are you serious?" The principal chuckled. "Very serious. Keep working hard." That night, Ganika couldn't sleep not because of exhaustion, but because, for the first time in a long time, she felt hope. Real, tangible hope. When Anika got home that evening, she was bursting with excitement. A full scholarship. It felt unreal. But as she stepped into the house, her joy faded. Ifeanyi was standing by the door with arms crossed, a frown on her face. "Where have you been?" she demanded. Anika hesitated. "School." Did I not tell you to come back immediately after closing? There are clothes to wash. Do you think you are a queen because you can read book?" Anika lowered her gaze. She knew better than to argue. That night, as she scrubbed the bathroom floor, she replayed the principal's words in her head. "Your hard work is inspiring." She held on to them like a lifeline. No matter what happened in this house, she had a future ahead of her. Days turned into weeks, and Anika's scholarship became the talk of the school. Even some teachers who barely noticed her before began paying attention. But at home, Ifeanyi and Chizaram's bitterness only grew. They doubled her workload, forcing her to stay up late and wake up before dawn. One Saturday, while Anika was outside washing a mountain of clothes, her uncle's friend, Mr. Obinna, arrived. He watched her for a while before calling out, "Anika, come here." She wiped her hands on her wrapper and walked up to him, her head slightly bowed. "Good afternoon, sir." Mr. Obinna glanced at the heap of clothes, then at the tired look on her face. "You are still doing all these chores? Are they not sending you to school?" Before Anika could answer, Ifeanyi's voice rang out. "Ah, Brother Obinna, she is just helping out. She is a very stubborn girl, so we make sure she stays busy." Mr. Obinna's expression hardened. "Helping out? Every time I come here, this girl is working like a maid. Do you even let her rest?" Ifeanyi forced a smile. "She is part of the family. This is how children learn responsibility." Mr. Obinna scoffed. "I see. Anika, come to my office on Monday. I will arrange something for you." Anika's heart skipped. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." As Mr. Obinna walked into the house, Ifeanyi shot Anika a murderous look. "You better not say anything foolish when you go there." Anika knew this was a turning point. Something was about to change. Monday morning arrived, and Anika dressed carefully in her school uniform. The scholarship had covered new clothes, and for once, she didn't have to wear her cousin's old, oversized hand-me-downs. She still had chores to do before leaving the house, but she moved quickly, determined not to be late for school or for the meeting with Mr. Obinna. Ifeanyi watched her closely as she swept the compound. "Remember what I told you," she warned. "Don't go there and start running your mouth. If he asks anything, you better say everything is fine." Anika nodded without a word. Inside, her heart was pounding. After school, she made her way to Mr. Obinna's office. He was a well-respected businessman in Enugu, and she felt small as she stood outside his grand office, waiting for the secretary to call her in. When the door finally opened, she took a deep breath and stepped inside. Mr. Obinna smiled warmly. "Anika, sit down. How are you?" "I'm fine, sir." "Good afternoon, sir." He studied her for a moment before leaning forward. "I won't waste your time. I've seen the way your aunt treats you, and I don't like it. A child should not suffer like that. Your scholarship is a blessing, but I want to do more for you." Anika blinked, unsure of what he meant. "I have spoken to the school administration. They will allow you to stay in the school hostel, so you don't have to go home every day. That way, you can focus on your studies without distractions." Anika's mouth fell open. "Sir, the hostel?" He nodded. "Yes. I will cover the fees. You deserve better than what they are doing to you in that house. Do you want this?" Tears welled in her eyes. For years, she had endured pain in silence. Now, someone was finally giving her a way out. She nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. I want it." Mr. Obinna smiled. "Good. I'll handle everything. Just go home today and act normal. Don't tell them yet. By next week, you will move to the hostel." Anika swallowed back a sob. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." As she left the office, a new feeling bloomed inside her: hope. Real, undeniable hope. For the first time, she saw a light at the end of the tunnel. She was finally going to be free. Ganika kept her excitement hidden as she walked home that evening. Her heart was racing with joy, but she knew better than to show it. If Ifunanya or Chizaram suspected anything, they would do everything to ruin it. She had only a few more days in that house, and she wasn't about to risk losing her chance at freedom. When she arrived, Ifunanya was already frowning. "Why are you late?" she barked. "Extra lessons," Ganika replied quickly, lowering her gaze to avoid eye contact. Ifunanya scoffed. "Always one excuse or the other. Go and fetch water." Ganika nodded and hurried outside. As she carried the heavy buckets back and forth, she reminded herself, just a few more days. That night, as she lay on the thin mattress in the corner of the room she shared with Chizaram, she couldn't sleep. She kept imagining what it would feel like to live in the school hostel. No more waking up before dawn to clean. No more insults. No more eating the leftover food after everyone had finished. The next morning, she kept her routine the same. She scrubbed, cooked, and ran errands. Ifunanya didn't suspect a thing. But as the days passed, Ganika couldn't ignore Chizaram's suspicious looks. On Friday night, as they lay in the room, Chizaram suddenly turned to her. "What's going on with you?" she asked, her voice low but sharp. Ganika stiffened. "What do you mean? You've been acting strange. You don't look as miserable as before. Did something happen?" Ganika forced a small laugh. "Nothing. I just—" "You're lying," Chizaram cut in, sitting up. "Tell me the truth, or I'll tell my mother that you're hiding something." Anika's breath caught. If Ifunanya found out. She took a deep breath. "Fine. I got a hostel space at school. I'll be moving next week." Chizaram's eyes widened. "What? Who gave you that?" "Mr. Obina. He arranged everything." For a moment, Chizaram said nothing. Then, to Anika's surprise, she smirked. "So you're finally leaving. Good for you." Ganika frowned. "You won't tell your mother?" Chizaram shrugged. "No. But you better pray she doesn't find out another way. If she does, you won't leave this house in one piece." Ganika swallowed hard. She had to be careful. Just a few more days, and she would be free. Ganika knew she had to move carefully. The last few days in Ifunanya's house felt longer than the years she had spent there. Every moment, she expected something to go wrong, for Ifunanya to somehow discover her plan and crush her dream before she could escape. But she remained silent, doing all her chores without complaint, keeping her excitement buried deep inside. The night before her departure, she barely slept. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until morning. Chizaram was unusually quiet too, stealing glances at her but saying nothing. Ganika couldn't tell if it was guilt, jealousy, or something else. She didn't care. Her freedom was within reach. At dawn, she quickly got up and swept the house as usual, making sure to leave everything spotless. Ifunanya had always been harsh, but lately, her mood had been even worse. Her husband had been coming home late, and there were whispers about trouble at his office. But Ganika didn't care about their problems. For once, she was thinking of herself. She had planned everything with Mr. Obina. He told her to meet him at the school gate by noon. Ifunanya had given her permission to go to the market, so she had a perfect excuse to leave without raising suspicion. Her small bag was already packed and hidden behind the backyard drum. When the time came, she would take it and walk away from this miserable life forever. But just as she was about to leave, Ifunanya's voice rang out. "Ganika, where do you think you're going?" Anika's heart stopped. She turned slowly, forcing herself to stay calm. "To the market, Ma." Ifunanya narrowed her eyes. "Dressed like that?" Her gaze swept over Anika's neatly ironed dress and the small handbag she held. "Yes, Ma," Ganika said quickly. "The market is dusty. I don't want my clothes to look dirty." Ifyunanya folded her arms, watching her suspiciously. "Come back quickly, or there will be trouble." "Yes, Ma," Anika replied, holding her breath as she stepped out of the compound. The moment she turned the corner, she picked up her pace, practically running down the street. She grabbed her bag from its hiding place and hurried toward the school gate where Mr. Obinna was waiting in his car. When she reached him, she finally exhaled. "Are you ready?" he asked, watching her carefully. Anika nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes, sir." More than ever. As she got into the car, she didn't look back. For the first time in years, she was free. The car ride to Mr. Obinna's house felt like a dream. Anika kept glancing out of the window, half expecting Ifyunanya to appear from nowhere and drag her back. But the farther they drove, the lighter she felt. When they arrived at the compound, Mr. Obinna's wife, Nkem, was already waiting. She had a warm smile and open arms, something Anika had never experienced from an older woman. "Come in, my dear," Nkem said, leading Anika inside. "This is your home now." Tears stung Anika's eyes. Home. It had been so long since she had a place that truly felt like one. The house was simple but filled with warmth. She saw a real dining table, a clean kitchen, and a couch that wasn't just for decoration. It was nothing like Ifyunanya's mansion, but it was better in every way. "Thank you, Ma," Anika whispered, afraid that if she spoke too loudly, the moment would disappear. Nkem cupped her face. "You will go to school, eat well, and rest. No one will mistreat you here." Anika could only nod. For the first time in years, she felt safe. The next morning, Mr. Obinna took her to a small private school. It wasn't one of those expensive schools Ifyunanya's children attended, but it was a real school. A place where she could sit in a classroom and learn. The principal, a kind-looking man with grey hair, welcomed her with a smile. "You must be Anika. Mr. Obinna has told me about you. We're happy to have you here." Anika bowed her head in respect. "Thank you, sir." As she stepped into her first class, her heart pounded. She had never been to school before. What if she was too slow? What if the other students laughed at her? But when the teacher introduced her and the students clapped, she realized something. This was her fresh start. And she wasn't going to waste it. Anika's first few weeks in school were tough. She struggled to keep up with her classmates, most of whom had been in school since they were little. Simple arithmetic confused her, and she could barely read without stumbling over words. But she refused to give up. Every night, she stayed up late, practicing her reading and writing. Nkem helped her, guiding her patiently through her homework. Mr. Obinna encouraged her, reminding her that she had come too far to stop now. "You are smart, Anika," he told her one evening as she sat at the dining table, struggling with an English comprehension passage. "You just need time. And you have all the time you need." His words pushed her forward. Slowly, things started making sense. She began understanding her lessons, answering questions in class, and even helping other students when she could. Her teachers took notice, and soon, she was no longer the girl who sat quietly at the back of the classroom. She was becoming one of the best students in her class. One afternoon, as she was packing her books, one of her classmates, Chima, approached her. "You're really smart, you know," he said, smiling. Anika blinked in surprise. "Me? Yes. At first, you were always so quiet. But now, even our teacher praises you." Anika felt warmth spread in her chest. No one had ever complimented her on something she did well. "Thank you," she said softly. Chima grinned. "Keep it up. Maybe one day, you'll be the best student in the whole school." That night, as Anika lay in bed, she thought about his words. Maybe she could be the best. Maybe she could achieve something greater than she ever imagined. For the first time in her life, she had hope. And she was going to hold on to it. Years passed, and Anika's hard work paid off. She excelled in school, winning scholarships and earning top grades. By the time she was 18, She had secured a full scholarship to study business administration at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. The little girl who once scrubbed floors and endured cruelty was now a young woman with a future brighter than she had ever imagined. She never forgot where she came from. Even as she studied, she worked part-time, saving every naira she could. She had a dream, one that kept her awake at night, one that gave her purpose. One evening, as she sat in her small student apartment, an idea struck her. She had seen how businesses operated, how people struggled to find quality products in Enugu. What if she created something of her own? A business that not only made money but helped others? She began researching, attending business seminars, and networking with the right people. With the little savings she had and a few investors she convinced, she started a small retail business, selling quality household items at affordable prices. At first, it was just a tiny store, barely making enough profit, but Ganika didn't give up. She put in the same determination that had helped her survive all those years. By the time she graduated, her business had expanded into a chain of stores. And at 26, she took a bold step. She bought a struggling shopping mall in Enugu and turned it into one of the biggest in the city. She was no longer just Ganika, the girl who had been treated like a house girl. She was now Ganika, the owner of the most successful shopping mall in Enugu. But fate had a way of bringing the past back when you least expected it. Hello family, kindly tell us where you are watching from and the time your watch says right now in the comment section. We would love to hear from you, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. New series are coming very soon. Subscribe. Feel free to support us by joining Zara Premium. Thanks.